Going 6 for 6, and people are like, "You're tipping the picks." I'm like, "Nope, I'm behind like you." I had it down. Like I told you, I do a sales job on Wednesday. You know what I do to avoid Gertrude and Esther and Winifred, who are about 195 years old. And nothing against old people. I love old people, right? But these old people, they're nasty, man. They are venomous. Bunch of venomous snakes. Like they will take your head off. Like right when you first get on the phone, it's 9:15. Like you're feeling good at 9 o'clock. Of course, you know, Wednesdays, I produce the JP Peterson show. So you get on at 12:30. Thank God. Because you get on during a regular morning, you're feeling good at 9 o'clock. You had your coffee. You had your donuts. Maybe your oatmeal. Maybe your bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. You're feeling good about the day. 9:15 comes. Winifred is on the phone. Esther is on the phone. Gertrude is on the phone. And they're ready to take your head off. And you know what you do to take your mind off of it? You sit there and take notes. And that's what I was doing all day long. Because, baby, it's draft day. It's draft week. Sit down there and take notes. Do your mock draft in your head. Write down this. Write down that. Stats weren't great. But you know what? I didn't get upset. I wasn't looking to ask, you know, Gertrude, who was 185 years old, what was World War I like? What was it like when you had to use your feet as brakes for your car? I didn't ask her that. I didn't. I probably would have been fired. I would have been. I'm just saying. So I kept my mind off of all that nonsense. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television on a happy day edition of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this show as we always do here, usually on a Monday, Wednesday night? Oh, by the way, thanks a lot to Facebook for letting me share because I can't. So I'm asking for a favor tonight. Please share as much as you can, because according to their platform, sharing is not caring. 3 things. You know them, you love them, you got to have them. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. And then former sports broadcaster of WTOG Channel 44. I'm going to make this guy feel a little bit old tonight because I grew up watching him, Mr. Bob Alvarez. We're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their draft. We're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays, who didn't do too well today. 14-18, and of course, the Lightning have also been eliminated, so their season is over with, but don't fret. We will discuss it, as always, with him. We may get into some turnbuckle talk. No Mark Mancini, of course, if you don't know what that is. WWE, AEW action, if I feel like it. And then, as always, take your phone calls because you guys are the lifeblood of it. And if you're asking, what is this exactly? It's a TV, it's a radio show with sound effects, of course, like this. Like this.
Oh, yeah.
You also got phone calls. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The question for the night for Go Bucks fans out there: what did you think of the draft? Not just Graham Barton, Chris Bradwell, of course, Braswell, if I can get his name right already. Starting off great here on the sports web. But Braswell there. What about the rest of the picks? What do you think about the NFL draft for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What about the Tampa Bay Rays? Can they turn this around? It's early in the season, but it isn't looking too good right now. I get it, ebbs and flows. Jose Siri suspended for getting into, I don't know what that was. Was that a fight last night? Because there was no punches thrown at all. You know, nobody threw any punches. It's a typical baseball fight. It's kind of like high school, right? Or middle school. It's actually a middle school fight. Everybody's running around talking. There's nothing going on at all. And still you get all these suspensions for what? Jose Siri doing what Siri does best. Staring at the baseball, hitting the ball out of the park, which, by the way, what do you say, 2 home runs this year? It's not good. It hasn't been good. It has not been good for the Rays lately. Of course, getting swept by the god-awful Chicago White Sox during the weekend series.
This guy sucks.
I mean, you got to be joking, but that's the way they're playing right now. And then, of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning as they get eliminated. What's the next thing we would want to do with them? You can give your thoughts. I know we talk hockey on this show, but it's predominantly a Buck show, so I expect phone calls, and I want to hear cricket. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to the comments here. LFG, I like it, Christopher Cole. Let's go! Let's go out to differently abled. Let's go Eagles. I don't know about that.
This guy sucks.
Where did that come from? That's okay. Eagle fans are absolutely allowed. Good evening, Peter. What's going on, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Gerald here, my guy. What's up, Peter Blake? Let's go out to the phone line. Stand by. As I didn't have my phone line hooked up, so let's go out to the phone lines, and then we'll get out to the legend himself, Leo Haggerty. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the Evolution.
Hey, Peter. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, buddy? You got to pep this up here, Jeremy. You're starting off the sports web. Come on, start it over again. You sound like me on a Monday morning when I'm trying to talk to 195-year-olds. Come on, pep it up again. Let's do this.
Peter, what do you do, bro? How you doing?
What's going on, buddy? Your thoughts on the Bucks draft here. Welcome to the Evolution.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. No, home run, man. Honestly, all those picks can be key role players, you know. I love the Graham Barton pick, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Bucky Irving really caught my eye because, you know, I was worried about his, you know, his height, his size. But when I watched his highlight and read more stuff on him, the dude just breaks tackles.
He does. One of our good guys of the show here, TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network, he said it best, a Warwick Dunn clone 25 years later. How about if he's anything like Warwick Dunn, and I'm not comparing it, but you look at the body type here, 5'9", 187, 192, something along those lines. Explosive running back, can catch out of the backfield. If he's anything like Dunn, I tell you right now, the Bucs got a hell of a pick.
I agree. It would be a hell of a pick. And then plus Jalen McMillan, I think he's going to fit well, whether he plays a slot or outside, whatever they do with him. You can never have too many receivers, in this roster. Then also Chris Braswell, I think he's going to be like a Yaya Diaby project type, like he'll start off as a rotational guy and then work his way up to a starter role.
Mm-hmm.
I think this dude's got a lot of, I think he led the SEC in pressures, if I'm not mistaken, when I looked into him. And he had 13 sacks last year. So you got to think SEC, University of Alabama defender. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Even if he doesn't get double digits, but if you get a guy who gets pressure
right
and create turnovers, steal. And then Tyke Smith, I mean, I think he's the starting nickel projected already. No knock on Izzy, and I think he did a good job filling the role. But at least now you can use Izzy in other roles as safety. I mean, Bulls are going to get creative with these guys.
Sure.
When it comes to defensive schemes.
And Tyke Smith, yeah, they're gonna 5'10", 202 pounds safety out of Georgia. They're gonna move him all around the place. I call him a chess piece. I tell you what, hold up here. Let me go ahead and get my co-host on here. The legend himself. He's waiting in the back room. Here we go. Former Coach Scott and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports.
Book him, Dano.
Mr. Leo Haggerty, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. We're on with Jeremy right now talking about the Bucs draft. So I'm going to get out to you in just a moment, Leo, but go ahead and finish it up here, Jeremy, on your general thoughts of this draft, and then we'll go out to Leo.
Well, I also want to throw out there, I was into the Chicago area during the draft, and I was at the Chicago White Sox-Rays game on Sunday.
Ugh.
And, yeah, but I will say one positive thing. Richie Palacio actually threw me a ball into the stands, and I just got a hell of an accuracy. I mean, he put it in pretty good hands. So shout out to him, what he's done so far. I think he's been probably the most productive player in the lineup right now on bats. So I thought I'd give him a shout out there,
Well, that's nice of you. Everything else on that series wasn't very good at all. I don't know what to say about the Rays right now, 14 and 18, Jeremy. Hopefully they turn around. Do you think they could turn it around?
No, I don't expect them. I expect them to compete, but I just don't see a lot of things out of this team.
Yeah.
Not until we get our guys back in pitching, McClanahan next year. I think when you get him back, I think we'll see a bigger difference. But I expect some trades to happen for the deadline, unfortunately, as far as the Rays go. And as far as the Lightning go, Stamkos, we'll see what happens. But I think it's time to trade some of the dead weight in there that are taking most of the salary. I'm not going to name too many of them, but all I know is 3 out of that group got to go.
All right. Well, who are the 3 that you want out of here?
Well, first, I'm going to say Chernak. I know he's a good defenseman, but that's all he really is. I mean, I just don't see why we're throwing away $7 million. Well, let me say that, not throwing $7 million away, but paying him a bit salary like that, for a guy who's just a defenseman. I think Nick Paul his way out the door a little bit, in my opinion. Wow. He showed out when he first got here, and then after that, we didn't really see much of him.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I'm going to have to throw out there. This one might be a little hard, but I got to say Sergachev. I know he came out from an injury, but he wasn't showing a lot. I mean, he's just not the same guy.
Yeah. All right.
That's just my opinion. You get rid of those 3, you ship them out, you clear some cap space, you bring out Stamkos, and go find some other young talent out there.
Smart. Good stuff, Jeremy. Appreciate the call. Thanks for leading us off here, and use that second call if you want to, my friend. All right?
Yes, sir. Take care, Peter. Take care, Leo.
All right, good stuff there. Leo, let's start out there, and then we'll get back out to the phone lines here in a moment because I know Alex wants to call in. But, Leo, your general thoughts on this Bucs draft. Welcome to the evolution.
Well, you know what, Peter? They met their needs, which was good. The center, Barton, that's the closest thing they got to Ryan Jensen. Mean and nasty. That's what they wanted. And they got that. Braswell, little bit of a project. He's a little bit undersized, but expect to see him on third down situations or passing situations because he has a knack of getting to the quarterback. And then it's kind of funny they took him because that's not the modus operandi of the edge people that the Bucs like. They like the long arms and the height and the being able to stretch out and knock a few passes down. But this guy's strictly a speed rusher. So yeah, and we said before the draft, Jason Light's going to find a small school offensive lineman. He does every draft.
Yep.
The guy out of New Mexico, Klein. What a great pick.
What a great pick. I tell you right now, here's the other guy that said, you know what, whether they have an edge guy or not, and I still think if they had an edge guy, they would have drafted him. But if not, they're going to draft an interior lineman. We'll give him kudos. We'll pat him on the back. Let's go out to my other co-host here, the Greek, Harry the Greek. Here we go. Professional handicapper extraordinaire of the sports web, Mr. Harry the Greek. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm kind of, I'm starting to get the jitters. I see the Italian sitting in the back room. Oh, my God. Mamma mia.
Well, that is Mr. Bob Alvarez right there, former WTOG Channel 44 sports broadcaster. I was making him feel old in the pre-show there, talking to him, kind of getting to know him a little bit, where I used to watch him when I was like 8 to 10 years old. I mean, this guy was
really, Peter?
Yes.
You really did that to the poor guy?
I did that to the poor guy. Yes, you know that. You know what I'm going to do. I mean, I used to watch the guy announce Storm games, so we'll get him on at 9:30. But let me go ahead and pat you on the back here, Harry. You said the Bucs were going to go for an interior offensive lineman. That's exactly what they did. Leo raises his hand right now because not only is he a teacher, but he also wants to receive credit. I want to read this from Pro Football Focus. The selection of Duke's Graham Barton in the first round isn't just a good move because of his excellent college career, during which he earned an 88.7 Pro Football Focus grade over the past 2 seasons to rank 5th among FBS tackles. It's also a good move because of his versatility. Barton played center early in college and will likely play on the interior of the line for the Buccaneers. He is comfortable across the unit. Also, UTEM's Elijah Klein, selected in the 6th round, wasn't on the PFF big board, but did earn, get this, guys, a 93.5 PFF pass blocking grade in 2023. So your thoughts here, Greek?
What else am I going to say? I mean, that was the biggest need, was going to go with the offensive lineman, because if people remember correctly, there was like a 4 or 5 game span that Baker Mayfield just couldn't sit upright. I mean, just really did not have a lot of pass protection. And he looked very pedestrian, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's when they started changing their game plan a little bit, and they went to a little bit more of a play action pass, and they started pounding that rock, and they were having some success doing it. That's when Baker Mayfield was having a little bit more success. Now that you have a center, I'm not saying he's Ryan Jensen. For God's sakes, I'd be happy if he was Ryan Jensen's brother. Just put him in the same category. But you got a guy that can play both guard positions as well. Now, Hainsey can move over to his natural position. He doesn't have to play in the other side. And to be honest with you, I still think they're not done on the offensive line. I think they still might pick up somebody that may get cut just before season starts. But that's my own opinion. I do like what they did in the draft. They look really good, but a lot of teams looked really good. I'll tell you who didn't look good, Pete.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Falcons. What was that?
Well, let's
talk about the elephant in the room.
Well, I want to go out to Leo because I know Leo is shaking his head, and he kind of was telling me the reason why you draft Penix is possibly Kirk Cousins may not necessarily be 100%, even though you paid him over.
You got $100 million. You better be 100%.
Well, and then on top of it, they can get out of that contract in 2 years. But I tend to agree with you. I love Penix. I think he may be the best quarterback in this draft when all's said and done. But at that point, guys, from my opinion, Dallas Turner or Latu should be the pick, or even an offensive lineman to protect that chandelier of a quarterback that you're putting behind that questionable offensive line. Leo, your thoughts?
I don't think it's that questionable. I think that offense is fine-tuned, ready to roll. All they needed was a quarterback, and they got it with Kirk Cousins. Now, here's the backstory with all that's going on with the Falcons. Somebody in that room had to say, well, look, here's a franchise quarterback dropping to us at 8.
Mm-hmm.
If Cousins is the guy, and I think he is, they think he is, we're going to win 10, 11 games next year. That's going to put us down around 24, 25, 26. We're never going to have a shot at this guy again. And here's what people are forgetting. The NFL is going to penalize the Eagles for tampering with Saquon Barkley and the Falcons with tampering with Kirk Cousins.
I heard that too.
Rumor in the community is they're either going to lose their first round next year or multiple picks next year. That means they're going to be stuck for 2 years before they even can think about getting a quarterback. Michael Penix sitting there was just too good to pass up. And I've asked around, I said, who made that decision? You know who made that decision, guys? Arthur Blank, because he was looking down the road saying, okay, we can sit Michael Penix for 2 years. Let him marinate. Let him learn from one of the most cerebral NFL quarterbacks going. And then in 2 years, and everybody's saying, well, he'll be 25. So what? That gives you 8, 9, maybe 10 years of a quarterback. And Atlanta may be laughing in 2 years when that happens. Because if you look at the quarterbacks now, the really good ones sat. Mahomes sat. Tom Brady sat. Aaron Rodgers sat. You're looking at these guys that learn. The guys you've thrown into the mix, the only guy that's coming out smelling like a rose so far is C.J. Stroud, and that's because he got into the playoffs. But you're looking at the guys who are getting to the NFL championship games. You're looking at Mahomes. You're looking at guys that just happen to sit behind. What about Mr. Irrelevant out in San Francisco? He sat for 3/4 of the season and came out. So again, why is that happening? It's because the NFL game is different than the college game. And you're going, wait, what are you talking about? Well, offensive linemen in college can go 3 yards down the field. So the RPO, the run pass option, you got at least 1 and maybe 2 counts where you can still debate what to do. In the NFL, you get 1 count because the offensive lineman can go 1 yard down the field. So when Hurts is running that RPO with the Eagles, when he pulls it, he's either got to run it or he's got to throw it right now. He can't just sit back there like in college. And it takes a while for that to happen. Here's another thing, Harry, and you'll be amazed with this. In college, they don't know how to recognize the Mike linebacker. And it's not because they don't know who he is. They're seeing so much of a 4-2 that there is no middle linebacker anymore. So when they get to the NFL and they've got to determine who the middle linebacker is, the Mike, so the center can determine the protection, they're having trouble with that.
You know, Leo, great point, but half the quarterbacks in the National Football League can't identify the mic. When I'm reviewing tapes and I'm giving picks out in the end of the week for those week's games, you'd be surprised how many top 10 defensive teams can disguise it so well that some of your best offenses, believe it or not, can identify the mic correctly. No, but that's, you know, I'm going to leave that off the I'm going to leave those teams off of it. We'll talk about that coming up for next season. But I will tell you one thing, Leo. Great point, especially about with Atlanta. But I beg to differ with one thing. You don't spend $100 million with Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry, man. You just don't. I didn't like the signing as it was. I love the signing that they got, you know, with Michael Penix Jr. Do I think he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft? No. I think that went to Chicago with Caleb Williams, to be honest with you. And I also like Jaden Daniels. But when you spend $100 million on a quarterback, they're expecting him to come in and just be full steam ahead. But you know what? That type of injury that he has and the age that he is currently, you might be getting Penix a lot sooner than you do have any success with one particular quarterback that they just signed. That's just my opinion.
Especially if he gets hurt. And what you're watching right now
Yeah.
is the evolution of sports talk television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with professional handicapper extraordinaire of this show, Mr. Harry the Greek. Of course, I'm going to pat him on the back. He was right about that Bucks draft with the interior alignment.
I gave you the name.
You did. You threw it out there. You definitely gave me the name. I believe you said Graham Barton. And you also got Mr. Leo Haggerty, from a Coach Scott and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. We got Bob Alvarez coming up here about 9:30. Gentlemen, let's talk about the third round there. They get Tyke Smith, the safety from Georgia. Jalen McMillan, who was surprising there, may take over for Chris Godwin's. Definitely another weapon for Baker Mayfield. And then you go to the fourth round. Buck Irving, everybody's ready to call him that. The running back from Oregon. In fact, a good buddy of the show, Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network, says a Warwick Dunn clone 25 years later. I love that. 5'9", 192, can make you miss, is highly explosive. Leo, your thoughts on all those picks there, third and fourth round?
Oh, he's not Warwick Dunn. Trust me. And here's why. When Warwick Dunn came out, we at our lad scouting service had him the best player coming out in the draft. And here's why. Warwick Dunn does something that Bucky doesn't do. Warwick Dunn was a ferocious pass blocker. For a guy his size, he was unbelievable as a pass blocker. And I'll tell you what, right now, if you come into camp, you got 3 strikes. If you whiff on 3 pass blocking attempts as a running back, you're gone.
Yep.
Because running back is a misnomer now. You are a catching back, you're a blocking back, you're a running back third, because the NFL has moved to a passing league. If you can't protect the quarterback, you're a very, very short down person. You're going to be first down, maybe second down. Third down, you're out of the game because you got to be able to protect the quarterback. That's the thing today. Mm-hmm. I asked the Bucs coach way back when, I said, is this a misnomer, running back? He said, yeah, you got to be a catching back. You got to be a blocking back. And that's what it is now. I'm hoping the guy, they said one of his deficiencies was pass blocking. That doesn't mean he can't. That just means he didn't do it in college because you're still a running back there.
Yeah, but there's not, I got to be honest. I mean, let me interject here. When you're 5'9" and a buck nothing, you're not really blocking anybody. Okay. I mean, he is a glorified, not as good a Tariq Cohen. He's not as fast as Cohen was, but he has really, really exceptional hands. I did watch a little tape on this kid, Bucky. He's actually a pretty good player. And he's going to be a gadget player. He's going to be that guy on third down that you can utilize and have him going off and maybe lining up in the slot. You can move him in all different directions. And don't be surprised, you might have found a different punt returner.
Well, and that's a good thing because special teams has been one of those areas that is lacked for this Buccaneer team. They especially need somebody that can kick return and punt return, especially with the rules right now with the kickoff return. Let's go out to KR. Hey, Peter, go Bucks. Absolutely go Bucks. Let's go! Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Now, I know the Lightning didn't play well the whole series, but it's kind of difficult playing against the refs and worrying about players taking cheap shots. We can get into that in just a little bit after we get you out of here, Leo. The Greek is in the house, says Chuck Anderson. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Sitton says go Bucks, so let's go ahead and say it.
How about them Bucks, baby?
There we go. Sitton, hey, Peter, how many games we're going to win this year? Too early to tell. We will definitely have a prediction, but you know where I stand on this team with the level of talent. 10 to 11 games is certainly possible. And furthermore, with them making the moves in the draft and bringing back all their players, I think the sky is the limit. I'm not going to say Super Bowl, but I definitely would say they would win that NFC South. Cousins cost too much money. Absolutely. Let's go out to Carl. Draft grades for our Buccaneers. I'm going to say a B+. I'm ready to go an A-, but I say a B+. I think they filled mostly every need. They got a lot of talented players, a lot of great value there. Let's go out to you, Leo, because you've been a part of front offices and scouting departments. Where do you grade this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team? And don't say what I think you're going to say, where we don't know until it's 3 years. I get that. But for right now, just on paper, seeing the tape, What's your draft grade for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
You like how he led you into that question, Leo? You got to grade it, Leo, even though they haven't taken a snap yet. Go give it to them.
You're a teacher now. Come on. Let's do this now.
Solid B, guys, and here's why. When you look at this draft, and again, I'm old school with this. First round, you got to play. Okay, Barton's going to play. Okay, there's no doubt about that. It's just a matter of where he's going to play on that offensive line, which is great. It gives them some fluidity. I like thinking like that word.
Listen to that nice word. Oh, look at that fluidity.
Stability up there. Your second round pick has to get on the field, and Braswell will. He'll get on the field when there's a passing situation. Third round and down, all you're trying to get is talent that'll replace a higher salary with a lower salary. And they've got that. They've got guys that'll be in there that'll make less money than the other guys, which will allow them to make it happen in terms of if they need to, mix and match some things. So, yeah, I gave him a solid B.
All right, Harry, you're the teacher now. What's the grade for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2024 draft?
I always keep it real, Pete. I'm going to keep this simple and sweet. I don't like to leave the guests waiting that long in the back room. I give this grade. I give this Buccaneer draft a solid A. They addressed exactly what they were supposed to do in the first 3 rounds. That is my opinion. That's prior to even taking a snap, but who knows? We're not going to know how they're going to turn out to the end of the year and maybe even to the end of next year. But I give them an A for addressing the exact needs that they had.
All right, we're going to get to Bob Alvarez in just a moment here. Really quick, Leo, your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, their season being ended by the Florida Panthers in dubious fashion, I would say, with 2 goals being taken off the board, John Cooper being upset about it, and then kind of backtracking, apologizing for those comments. But your general thoughts of this Lightning team?
Yeah, they took 2 goals off, and all of a sudden it would have been 3-2 or 3-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was real. And what was really questionable, guys, is when they called Cirelli for offsides and they took the puck back, had the face-off, and that's when Barkov got the goal off the face-off. And Cirelli looked like he was onside, and he was going to head in all alone on the power play. But I'll tell you what, Kevin O'Donnell from Fox TV had the question of the day. He asked Stamkos, Steven, have you thought about taking less money to keep the band together? And he said, yeah, we talked about this. And then he started listing salaries. Kucherov makes $9 million, which is way under that. He said, Vasilevsky makes $8 million, way under what people are making. Hedman makes $7 million. So he kind of laid it out there saying, you know what? I'll take less money, but you can't embarrass me with a contract that is not in that $7 to $9 million range. And here's the thing. 16 years he's been with this program. I asked Rich McKay. Rich, Sapp, Lynch, and Brooks are all going to age out together. How hard is it going to be to tell them either you're going to have to move on because we can't afford you, or they're going to have to retire? Rich McKay said, I don't want to be here when that happened. And he wasn't. He was gone at the end of the year. But I'll tell you what, the Lightning, they just got to figure out how to keep Stamkos into the mix. They are so weak at the blue line because of injuries. They went 7 games. Think about this, Harry and Peter. They had 2 guys playing in their first NHL game in a playoff game on the blue line. You're not going to win a whole lot of games that way. So, yeah, it's they got experience back there now. But, hey, get rid of Sergachev, get rid of Cernak. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see that happening here. I tell you what, let's get out to our guest here, former WTOG Channel 44 sports broadcaster, one of my inspirations for this show. And I told him off air, I loved how he called Tampa Bay Storm games. Let's go out to Mr. Bob Alvarez here. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well. I've got the passion and I've got the excitement and hopefully not too much nonsense coming out of me. But hey, Leo, good to see you again, Leo. And thank you for the education. Sitting here listening to the things you had to say was a great education from me. And Harry, nice to meet you.
You as well. And you know, Roberto, Benza salute fimamu vets. Whatever that means. I don't know. I heard some Italian saying that one time.
Well, I won't suck up, but I will say this. My second favorite food is Greek.
Well, you know, that's my second favorite food is Italian. So we're even. I get you.
Exactly.
But you got to admit, we're almost neighbors. You know,
Well,
almost.
hey, you know, my family's from Napoli in Italy, and that was first settled by the Greeks. So I have some Greek blood in me. I'm sure of that.
And you know what? My wife is Italian. My mother, seriously, and she's from Jersey. And if you're really quiet, you can hear her calling me.
All right, Leo, we're going to get you out of here on that. I appreciate you as always. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution.
Check us out on Amco Sports. I posted, I think, 6 or 7 different interviews today with Lightning player, coaches, general manager. And hey, Bob, it is great to see you again. I tell you what, I turned 71 yesterday, but I keep telling people it's my dyslexic birthday. I'm really 17.
God bless you, man.
Yeah, that's right. Happy birthday to Leo. All right, appreciate you, boss. There we go. Let's get out to our guest here. Let's start.
I have one comment before you go to him.
Yes, go ahead.
You know how you told him you were 8 years old and you were watching them? I mean, that's got to make people. Roberto, I was 20. Okay,
Thank you.
So it's not as bad. All right. I mean, come on, Peter. 8 years old, really?
8 to 10 years old back then.
Yes.
Oh yes.
My God.
I was watching sports broadcasts and he was on there, and there wasn't a lot of channels. It was Channel 13, it was Channel 10, Channel 8, and Channel 44. And 44 during that time had the preseason Bucks games, and they also had the Tampa Bay Storm games. And I remember you announcing those and just, you know, pumping me up, getting me pumped up. So kind of talk about yourself. And if people don't know who you are, Bob, go ahead and introduce yourself here on the Sports Web.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Peter. Thank you for having me. I came to Tampa in '88, and I worked at Channel 44. I was the sports director there, and I had a few stops in my career prior to coming to Tampa, and had never been to Florida before prior to coming to Tampa to work at Channel 44. So I was there from '88 through '95, and then went to New Orleans for 3 years, and then came back to this area. And I worked for a company called Video Art Productions, and we were producing the Bucks and the Rays and the Lightning's weekly shows. And I was also doing some work at Channel 44 with the Buccaneers back then. So that's sort of the long story short.
Love it. And again, you know, Tampa Bay Storm, the beginning of that, you know, Jay Gruden, of course, John's brother playing quarterback at the time. I believe Stevie Thomas playing wide receiver.
Yes.
So many good memories.
Wow.
Just I'm going back and forth, and I'm like,
you're going old school, Peter.
I'm old school, man. I'm an old school guy. You know, the beard. Yeah, I'm 45 years old, but I got a memory that's pretty sharp as a tack here. With that being said, going back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You covered them for so many years there, of course, preseason, even working with Joe Namath at the time. Remember that? Talk about that experience, working with Joe.
Yeah, Joe, it was a great experience. You know, the funny thing, and I think about this every time someone brings it up, I never bothered to ask Joe for his autograph. So I don't know how I never did, but yeah, it was fun working with Joe. In fact, I've got a story for you. And of course, we're talking about the eras before cell phones and everything. We were doing a game, I think it was in Cleveland, I don't recall, but we had our production meeting in the morning, and we were on the first floor of the hotel. So we finished our production meeting and we're leaving, and we had to go up 2 flights of stairs. And I'm walking, and Joe and a couple other guys are behind me. And Joe says, "Hey, Bob, wait a minute." And I'm like, okay, I didn't know what. But here we are going up the stairs, and Broadway Joe Namath has his hand on my shoulder to help him go up the stairs. And I'm going up these stairs thinking, no one's ever going to believe this. Broadway Joe relying on the kid to get himself up the stairs. But yeah, it was fun working with Joe. One of the things I remembered him is he was doing the color, and he'd start, after every play, and he'd analyze. He'd always start with the words, on that particular play. And then he'd go into his spiel. And I could never figure out Joe's accent, because I know he was raised, I believe, in Pennsylvania, and then played in Alabama. And he kind of had this Southern drawl in his speech, but I could never figure out Joe's accent. But it was, it was fun to be around a Hall of Famer and one of the best guys ever play in the NFL. Certainly one of the most colorful.
Well, and I got to go back to the, that Bucs era. Hope was eternal for Vinny Testaverde at the time. I remember getting drafted in 87's number 1 overall pick.
$8 million man, they tagged him as. Yeah, it was. Vinny was. Back then you had your saviors. Vinny was supposed to be the savior. I don't think he probably was coached up as well as he should have been. I think Ray Perkins was the head coach at the time. They weren't winning. Vinny had some anger problems as a result of not winning, but
he was colorblind.
A nice guy, man. I like Vinny a lot, talk to him often, and a real nice guy. But, I think in life, as in sports, it's all timing. Hey, this guy's with this team, doesn't do well. He goes to that team and he does well. But I just think for Vinny being with the Bucs, starting his career here after a pretty good college career, not pretty good, real good. I just think it was bad timing and bad coaching for him. And there probably wasn't a hell of a lot of help around him either.
Yeah, I think that's what it's always about. And that's the tough thing about drafting quarterbacks. And you look at this draft this year, 6 quarterbacks. You watched the draft. What did you think of that? I mean, it's a quarterback-driven league, but 6 quarterbacks and the top 15 picks or top 12 picks? Just insane.
Penix, I went to school at Indiana University, and Penix obviously played at Indiana University. And IU caught lightning in a bottle. I don't know, was it 4 years ago that season?
Right.
Well, they beat Penn State. Penix was on fire, and they had a great season. But I was always a little concerned. Obviously, Penix, has been hurt, but his throwing motion, and I'm certainly no expert, but I always thought his ball was a little low. And I thought, man, if this guy goes to the pros,
it is low.
Yeah, they might get some of those passes batted down. But, he left Indiana and went to Washington, where the coaching was much better. And I'm interested to see how he'll do in Atlanta. It was interesting what Leo said about the fact that Atlanta might get penalized, and this was their chance to get a quarterback. But dang, I know in sports they throw that word millions around quite easily, but with all that money they paid Cousins, what is it? $100 million is guaranteed of that?
No, it's $100 million. I think his guarantee is like $50 or $60 million, which is insane
it's
for
It's a total of $180 million contract, and then guys, they can get out of that in 2 years. So I get it, but again, they're being the Atlanta Falcons. You had an opportunity to get an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I would have drafted an offensive lineman, because I got major questions about the Falcons at the end of the day. They
got offensive line problems. Their defensive line is atrocious. Okay, I mean it's really, really quite comical if you think about it. I was completely blasted. I mean, for those of you that were watching the draft show when Peter and I were live, I mean, when they announced it, I went, I'm happy for Penix. I really liked the kid. But I was like, what is Atlanta doing? I mean, my God, I just couldn't understand that. You could at least have waited till next year. I mean, let's not give the 100-year-old quarterback you just signed $100 million. Let's not give the guy a coronary going, man, I guess I'm not here for long.
Yeah. I got to go out to this here, Bob. We're on with Bob Alvarez, former sports broadcaster, WTOG 44. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with professional handicapper extraordinaire of this show, Mr. Harry the Greek. Yeah, you covered the Bucs for so long. They had so many losing seasons, and then they're able to turn it around with Dungy, eventually win a Super Bowl. And then just talk about that team. Talk about that era where you win a Super Bowl. Did you ever think that? Because I know you're not in the area, but you were still watching the Bucs. Did you ever think that was going to happen? And then I want to talk about Tom Brady coming to town 2020, which is amazing in itself.
No, I from what I saw of the Buccaneers, I never thought Super Bowl was going to be a possibility. But I'm going to continue on that. I want to say 2 words talking about the draft. Bo Nix. I like the guy, but people aren't talking about him. But
did you like him when he was with Auburn?
I watched him a little bit with Auburn,
because he was horrible at Auburn. I mean, absolutely
well at Oregon.
horrible.
But the funny thing about it, and I like listening, and I watched the show, Peter, and I like listening to you guys. But in my position where I've sort of stepped away from it, I watch and I enjoy watching, but I don't have to analyze anymore. So the games are over. I switch the channel and I move on. But I don't know. I just like Bo Nix. I'm anxious to see what he does. But yeah, covering the Bucs in the Culver House regime again. You never thought that team, of course, with new owners, things change, but you never thought that Super Bowl would be a part of it. And it was interesting because I left Tampa in August of '95 and went to New Orleans. I was the sports director at the NBC affiliate there. Okay. And I started the job in late September. And when I took the job, the Saints were 0-5. Whoa. And I thought I should have saved my scripts from the Bucs and just.
What year was that?
95.
95. Jim Mora was a coach.
Ditka. No, that's right. That was the year before Ditka left.
Yeah, Ditka came later, and but yeah, I just thought, man, I should have saved my scripts and just changed the names because it's the same crappy pro football. And I thought maybe I'm the bad luck charm. I don't know, but yeah, and then Ditka came, and of course he had Ditka was. He was towards the end of his career, and I think he was just looking for a paycheck, and he was just being the persona that he was just being Ditka in New Orleans. And I've got a few stories about him that I don't want to tell because I shouldn't, but
I could share a few.
Yeah, Ditka was talking out of both sides of his mouth. He was a Christian out of this side of his mouth, and then on this side, he was the exact opposite. But
no, he lived his life the same exact way. He really has. I mean, people in Chicago. I mean, they've seen it. I mean, I could tell you some stories about Ditka as well. But being from Chicago, being a Bears fan, and having a lot of people in a very captive audience, especially from that part of the Midwest. To say something about Ditka is almost like slander against Walter Payton or Michael Jordan. Oh, it's horrible, man. That guy walks on water.
Yeah, no, I got along well with Ditka. I was interviewing him one time, and we were just shooting a breeze. We were sitting, getting ready for the camera guys to get done setting up. And he was playing with his Super Bowl ring, and it fell off, and it rolled between my legs. So I picked down, I stooped down, I pick up his ring, and I'm holding this ring. I said, Coach, I could get my whole hand through this ring.
I know.
I mean, you didn't want that guy strangling you. I'll say that.
No, he transcended the position for being a tight end. What he did for the National Football League and the tight ends that followed, they ought to pay homage to him for what he did. But yeah, you are right. He was definitely a Christian on one side of his mouth, and he was a heretic coming out of the other side. That man, whew.
Yeah, he brought a lot of press, brought a lot of notoriety to the Saints program that needed a shot in the arm. But he was. I mean, in my career, I always say there was Bob Knight, there was Perkins, there was Jim Mora, and to a little lesser extent, Ditka. That those were guys that if you were going to ask them a question, you were running it through your head 3, 4, 5 times just to see if there were any loopholes in those questions that these guys were going to chew your head off. And Perkins chewed my head off one time. But to his credit, the next day I was at training camp and I was standing there and I felt someone behind me put his arm around me, and it was Perkins. And, he was semi-apologizing to me. And I just said, hey, Coach, apparently that was a dumb question. So I deserved what you gave me. So, hey, it's a new day. I'll think of something better today.
My favorite Ditka moment was when he was chewing gum 100 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
What? I'm not going to answer that question. Your IQ is 0,
Yeah.
0. I'll never forget it.
I don't think Ditka could work these days with, cancel culture and everybody. But I'd like to see.
How about Ozzie Guillen? Could he work today?
I just.
Hey, viva la Cuba.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Well, I think the worst move for Ditka with the Saints tender was to get rid of all those draft picks for Ricky Williams.
What a player, though, man.
He was a player, but he wasn't as good for the Saints as he was for the Miami Dolphins, and he gave up all those, draft picks, and he was married to the guy, and he even took a picture with him in Sports Illustrated. They were married to each other, and it didn't necessarily work out. I want to go back. Yes, with the dreads. I want to go back to Tom Brady when that's happening, because you've covered this team for a long time. They're the losingest franchise. Nobody can believe it. We here on the sports web, we can't believe it. It's just a nonsense rumor. It's not going to happen. He's going to re-sign with the New England Patriots, or he's going to go to the Chargers in LA because that's what they do. You're not going to go to the losingest franchise in NFL history. And all of a sudden, the Brady rumors pick up. He signs, of course, during the pandemic and during COVID, which was crazy in itself. That announcement happens. What are you thinking? Covering the Bucs, that the greatest of all time and Tom Brady is joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are your first thoughts there, Bob?
I better get my cable bill paid because I want to see these games. That's my first thought. But no, I was floored just like everyone else, and of course I said, this is going to be good. I mean, this guy, we'll see how good he is if he's going to take these guys and lead them to the promised land. But the thing about him that really impresses me is how, and you guys know, because you're a little closer to the situation, is just how his presence from, the janitor to the secretary to the owner of the team, how he, lifted everybody in that franchise up and got everybody on the same page and headed toward the same goal. To me, that's what's impressive about him.
You know what I find even more impressive, besides the Super Bowl rings? The amount of money that he brought to the city of Tampa. Not just to the Glaziers, but what he did for the actual economy in the city of Tampa. People wanted to be part of it. I mean, they just wanted to be part of it.
Mm-hmm. And he had a pretty good-looking wife, too.
Yeah,
Well, for a while there, until they divorced, and then that
remind me never to wear this shirt again. Oh my God, it looks like I'm gonna give you guys like a
I don't know.
My camera's kind of crazy too. I see him kind of half frozen, and I don't know what's going on.
Who, me? No, you're freezing up a little bit, honestly.
Yeah, and I paid the internet bill. So I don't know what's going on.
I think it's the green screen. I think that's what it is. I don't know what it is, but that
could be. Hey, I like it though.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, we've had worse. I mean, it'll get better because this is not the last time, Bob. We're going to get you on the evolution of sports.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I got to ask you about the Bucs draft this year. What did you think about it? What were your overall thoughts? I mean, you go offensive line, you go, edge rusher in the second round, but the big need, and this guy pointed it out, and I'm going to give him credit again, where credit is due, Harry the Greek, as much as I,
you hate it, don't you, Pete? I mean, Bob, if you watch the show, you'd understand. He's like the ultimate. He's great at what he does, but he's like the ultimate Buccaneer fan. No. We're going to get the kid from Florida State. Bro, he's never going to make it done. Oh, yes, he is.
Well, listen,
he's worse. He's worse than the TV. Remember the movie Major Leagues?
Oh,
and there was a guy from Haiti, and he's sitting there with his little incense and everything. He's doing his little seance. I mean, that's Peter in the background. Trust me.
I'm trying to do my voodoo.
They're going to go edge rusher
for Jared
Holy bat.
And he gets
Jared Verse is coming to Tampa. That's what you're going to
see. And of course, of all teams here, guys, it's the friggin' Rams. And they draft not only Verse, but they also draft his running mate there, Brandon Fisk. So I was hoping for him. He got down to 19. He didn't get to the Bucks. And
You were correct about one thing, Peter.
what's up?
You didn't think he was going to make it out of the top 20, and you said he'd probably go 18 or 19. And if the Bucks wanted him, they needed to move up. And
Correct.
that's when Leo and I told you, you don't do that. There's going to be plenty of draft, and there's going to be plenty of players that are going to make it right there to that point of the Bucks. There were players in the second round that should have been a top 15 pick.
Agree.
I'm not kidding you.
Because of all the
not one.
Yeah.
Not one defensive player got picked up with the first 12 picks, if I'm not mistaken. I don't exactly remember what it was.
Latu went 15. He was the first defensive player off the board for the Colts. Yeah.
The good Lord's put me on this earth for 57 years. I've never seen a draft like this, ever. Never.
No.
I've never seen anything like this. I just can't wait to see how this all pans out for all these teams, especially for the top 10, to see how these players pan out. I don't
agree.
know.
I agree. What did you think about the draft this year, Bob?
Well, I like the first pick, the center offensive lineman, however you want to address that, because I don't know. I always thought I was no football genius, but if you can't block, you're going nowhere. So I was glad to see them address that position. They needed the edge rusher. I was happy to see the running back selected, and perhaps most happy the wide receiver. McMillan, I think his name is.
Correct.
They see he might be the replacement for Godwin. But yeah, no, I think they did well. Of course, you got the ingredients, but you got to put it together. So, I was, if I was grading, and I don't believe in pluses and minuses, I'd say it was a B draft. But I'm no expert, but that's what I think.
Well, hey, your opinion is valuable on this show because everybody can have an opinion. And, of course, if you got any questions for us at all, open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. With that being said, talk about your time with the Tampa Bay Storm, because you told me something off air that I couldn't believe, that a famous sports broadcaster in the Tampa Bay area, also in Tallahassee, was your color guy. Talk about
Gene Deckerhoff 1 year. And I don't remember if we did the Storm for 3 years or it was 2 years, but yeah, 1 year Gene was my color guy. I was doing the play-by-play and Gene was doing the color. So it was nice. I knew Gene, of course, from covering the Bucks and flying with the team, etc. But yeah, that was nice. But the fun part was, and some people may remember the name Bob Hugo. He played quarterback for the Gators. I think he had a cup of coffee in the NFL. But Bob was a funny guy. And I remember when our general manager, Channel 44, was speaking to Bob and I about, it was the first year we had the Storm contract. And the general manager said to us, listen, I don't want you guys to think you're the next Summerall and Madden. I want you guys to have fun. Bob and I looked at each other, and that's all we needed to hear. So and the Storm was, they were the elite team in the Arena League. Yeah. And Bob and I would do the games. We'd have a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. And, in my career, it was certainly one of the highlights, being able to call play-by-play of professional football. And I always thought, arena football was exciting because there was a lot of offense. And, of course, the Storm was one of the better teams. And I can't remember the coach, Larry Kaharick was the coach. And then it was
Markham,
yeah, Coach Markham.
Yeah.
But and then, they had the Zubas. Can't forget the Zubas.
Yes, the early 1991-92 edition there of the Tampa Bay Storm. And everybody had those Zuba pants. I had those.
Oh, yeah.
They were just the ugliest things, but at the time they were so cool. Everybody was wearing them. NFL teams were wearing them, and of course, arena football. Do you think that arena football could work in this market? Because I kind of miss it. I liked it. It was a change. And do you watch any of the new football league there, the UFL?
No, I've not watched the UFL at all. I think arena football would still work. I think just because it was exciting, it was offensive, and I don't know enough to know why it faded away. Probably financial reasons, but speaking of the Zubas, it was 90 or 91. I don't remember. I went to Italy and I had my Zubas on the flight over. And I get to my relatives, to my uncle's house in Italy, and I still got my Zubas on. And the look on his face to see those pants, of course, he thought they were pajamas. And he was, giving me the what for, oh, you come to see me and you wear your pajamas. And so we got off to a rough start.
Hey, Harry, did you have a pair of Zumba pants? Yes or no? Be honest.
Hell no.
No, you didn't have that.
No.
You were cool like us. That's
No.
a
The
problem.
difference was I was
Cool
cool.
for school. That's
I
what
was
Harry.
cooler.
Oh,
There's a big difference. No, man, I couldn't wear those things. I just couldn't. But now, I was always into them jeans that what we called, they were so tight you could squeeze OJ out of them. That was my problem. Okay, I mean, let's just be real.
You were in the skinny jeans.
I was
the skinny jeans.
I was in skinny. No, there's a reason why I was in skinny jeans because if I wore a pair of those pants. You see, God didn't bless me in certain areas. I used to take those pills when I was a kid called no acetols. Okay. All right. So for those reasons, I didn't wear those kind of pants. I had to wear something that it made me look like I had a resemblance of an ass. Okay. Sorry. I mean, I'm going to call it what it is. By the way, it's after 10 o'clock. We could say the word ass.
You can say it on here. All right, Bob, we know that you're not a sports broadcaster.
I'm kidding. I did have a pair, okay?
You probably did. I know you did. I know you did,
did.
Harry. I know you did. I know you're the one that did it. Bob, I know you're not sports broadcasting now. What are you doing with your career here on the sports web?
Well, I believe it was in 2002, and I was still involved in broadcasting. But I always, knew that I wasn't going to forever be in broadcasting. I wanted to do something different. So long story short, I mean, when I went to college, I had 2 degrees. One was broadcasting and the other one was in Italian. I studied the Italian language, went to school at the Università di Bologna in Bologna, Italy. So I came up with the idea that, really, what else do I know how to do besides stand there with a microphone and talk? But I thought, okay, I speak Italian. So I approached a community center in St. Pete and I started teaching Italian. And since 2002, that's what I've been doing. I do my classes in Italian restaurants in the Tampa Bay area and Sarasota as well. So as I like to say, we eat, we drink, we laugh, and we learn. And probably 65% of my students are preparing for a vacation. 35 or 30% of my students are of Italian descent, but they never heard the language, probably heard cuss words, and they want to reconnect with their heritage and learn a little more. So it's a fun environment being in a restaurant. And I always say it's learning the Italian way around the kitchen table. So
love it.
I speak Italian, but I don't literally. My hands speak Italian. Okay, I mean the words don't come out Italian, but my hands they speak Italian.
Well, yes, and they make fun of me here on the show because I said I'm part Sicilian, which I am. Because you can tell. Yes, I am. I'm part Sicilian.
He's part of that new culture. He took that DNA test. I got 2% Sicilian in me.
You're a complete idiot.
There's nothing about you being Sicilian. I do have a good Italian story for you, though. I think you're going to appreciate.
Well, hold on a sec. Hold that thought. Let's go out to the comments here. Live right down the road from my sister in Lutz. Thank you, Robert, for tuning in. Christopher Cole, I believe it's 100 million guaranteed.
He is correct. He's talking about Kirk Cousins.
David says, I almost got into a fight with Chicago fans saying Mike Ditka was stupid for trading all his picks for Ricky Williams, and the dude wanted to fight me just because I said Ditka was stupid.
Them's fighting words.
Yep, those are fighting words. And, of course, who could forget his performance in Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell? I love that movie. I'm in my yearbook wearing those Storm, Zumba, whatever pants I still get ragged about today. Listen, at the time, they were
cool.
Yes, they were cool. Now you look back at it, maybe not so much.
Peter, I want to see you in a pair of Zuma pants still.
Listen, I wore them a long time ago. I think I have some pictures buried somewhere. Maybe I'll bring them out. Maybe I'll bring them out again. I have no idea, but I
think I have a picture of me and my Zumbas or whatever we're calling them. On a beach in Italy. I was wearing them, and I think that was probably the last time I wore them because they didn't make it back from that trip to Italy. But
Peter was wearing Zumas, drinking a Zima.
Zima. There you go. Exactly.
Remember those?
Not
Hey,
bad.
here's
No.
I got the good Italian story from. He'll appreciate it. Two things. First off, when you're cooking spaghetti sauce, do you call it sauce or gravy?
sauce.
Okay, yeah, my wife, I can't tell her that. Oh Lord, it'd be like it's sacrilegious. Anyway, I just get married. I head up to make us 3 screens. I like
Three screen. I want the 3
There
screen.
you go.
Okay, I
Got
got
3
the
screens.
screen. Okay.
So I'm going up to Jersey for the first time to meet some of her family. You know, her aunts, her uncles, and we're up in Keyport, which is just north of the Jersey Shore. It's getting closer to the northern part of Jersey, and I'm trying to draw the picture. We get off the airplane. I'm driving to rent a car, and I pull into the driveway, and the windows are closed, and the music's playing ever so softly, and I can hear people screaming. I'm looking around. Where the hell is it coming from? I open the door, and it gets louder. I look over at my wife, and Jamie, what the hell's going on? She goes, "Oh, what are you talking about?" This is a noise. Who's screaming? Oh, that's the family. Here's the kicker. I open the front door, it gets really loud. I'm looking around the living room and I don't see them. They're in the basement and I can hear them outside. True story, Roberto.
Yeah, no,
That
I know.
lasted. I walk down there, I'm sitting down and I'm eating. And I'm used to it. The Greeks and the Italians, they have the same type of traditions. You walk in, if you leave hungry, that's your own fault.
Right.
Because all they want to do is feed you, take care of you, the whole 9 yards. But my Lord, after about 1 hour, my head was splitting. Greeks are loud, Italians are louder.
Yes. Yes.
But good story. I thought you would appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no, I know exactly what you mean, and and I watch a lot of Italian television, and it's
And my cheeks are still not the same yet.
yeah.
Oh, God.
You watch Italian television, you get 4 or 5 people talking all at once. It's like watching these shows, draft shows or whatever. It's like you watch these pre-game shows. They got 5 people on the set, and everybody's a comedian. Somebody says something that's not real funny, but everybody's laughing, and it's kind of there's a lot of television that's hard for me to watch these days, having worked in the business for a long time. But can I plug my website?
Absolutely.
You can. You can plug anything you want to. You're Bob Alvarez here on the Evolution.
The other side. No, you got to twist the other side, Bob. I understand you're getting old. Point to the other side.
Yeah, the other side.
There you go.
Yes.
It's www.learnitalian.us.
All right.
What I do is I do 4-week classes. We meet once per week, and as I said, we eat, we drink, we laugh, we learn. And
I want to try it. I think
yeah,
I'm going to sign up.
And I always tell people if you're going to Italy, I hope you come to see me, but see someone, because they call them foreign countries for a reason, and things are different. So the less stress you have on vacation, the better, and it's, I think, better to travel with knowledge, because the alternative is not real good.
All right, there you go. Former WTOG sports broadcaster Bob Alvarez. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. And like I said, don't be a stranger. Anytime you want to come on here, promote something you're doing, or talk sports, more than welcome. The door is always open, my friend.
Thank you. Grazie mille and grazie di cuore, as we say. Thank you from the heart. And Harry, nice to meet you. Harry, you're from Chicago. I grew up in Gary.
Oh, my God. You grew up in our armpit.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
And I spent a lot of time there on Halstead in Greektown.
You should have. I mean, isn't that a lot of fun? I mean, Peter has never. Well, since you're up from the real part of this country, I have a question for you. It's the $1 million question, and Peter knows what's coming. A Vienna hot dog.
Oh.
Okay. Right? With or without ketchup?
Without.
Of course. Okay. Now, Peter, I would like to point out, Peter, please tell him what you do on your hot dogs.
Yes, I put ketchup and spicy mustard on my hot dog at a baseball game, not a Chicago-style hot dog, but it is a hot dog no less for me. It's always been ketchup and spicy mustard, and that seems like it's sacrilege to the Chicagoans here.
I'm sorry, Peter. I have to do it. I have to do this to you, Pete. I just muted his microphone. He can't speak. What are you kidding me? You're from the Chicago area. This guy's putting ketchup on a hot dog. But this is the ongoing little joke that we're having, and a lot of people have a lot of fun with it. Like, for instance, hold on, I got to show this to you. Tom Banner, he puts, is it catsup or ketchup? Okay. I mean, it's just the kind of funny things. But yes, Halsted Street, it's a lot of fun. But you know what's really sad? There's only 2 of those restaurants still left down there.
That's what I hear, and I haven't been there in a few years, but Roditis restaurant was my go-to for 25 years. Before
Roditis
that,
is
the Parthenon.
the best, and now they got the garden, Grecian Gardens. No.
Diana's Oppa.
Diana's is gone.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love to tell the story of every time you go in there. For years and years and years, the old guy that was at the door, he was the owner. If you were a woman or a child of a gender of being a lady, okay, a girl, period. He didn't care who you were, what it was. He hugged you and gave you a kiss.
Yep.
Every single woman that came in. But tell me, because Peter's never experienced this, at Roditi's, Diana's, you remember throwing the plates against the walls?
Oh, yeah.
Everything just shattering all over the place.
Yeah,
and you didn't get in trouble for it, Peter.
No. And shots of ouzo if you had to wait for a table.
Oh, yeah. Here's some ouzo. Here's another ouzo. Yeah, just take the tray. Opa.
Yeah, I miss I spent a lot of time there in Greektown and miss that. And as we talk, I'm thinking for me, a trip to Tarpon is probably coming up soon.
You know what? Why not? I do enjoy Tarpon Springs. The food's over there is not bad. There's a nice little place called Mykonos. It's named after the island in Greece, one of the 1,000 islands that they have out there. It looks like an old house, but the food's really good. I have one last question for you. Being in Gary, Indiana, I know you had to support a baseball team. Were you a Cub fan or were you a Sox fan?
Actually, I was somewhat neither. I went to more Sox games.
I like this guy.
Closer, but I grew up, as a kid, you like teams that win. So when I grew up, I was a Yankees fan. That was the Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, those years. And so, you're a kid, you want to root for a winning team. So yeah, in fact, I still have the 63 Yankees starting lineup in baseball cards.
So you were one of the 10 people in the entire Chicagoland area that rooted for the Yankees. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, one of 10. Can I tell one last story? This is a Tarpon Springs story.
We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm on the job here at Channel 44. And, in the broadcasting business, I moved around a lot, working my way up the ladder. And every move, it was kind of like a couple basic things. Where am I going to find Italian bread? And where, who's the best dry cleaner? So I'm on the job here for a little while, or the first week, I think my second day, I asked somebody, Greek food. Where do you get Greek food? Oh, you have to go to Tarpon Springs. This was on a Tuesday. Okay. I'm thinking I'll go up there on a Saturday. Well, the following day on Wednesday, I go up to Tarpon to do a story about this good kids soccer team, little kids. Mm-hmm. So, we do our thing and I'm talking to the coach and he's got a real strong Greek accent. And we finished the interview. We're just shooting the breeze. And he says to me, you like a Greek food? I said, yeah, my second favorite food. He says, you come to my restaurant. Sure. He was the owner, probably still, I think, of Hellas.
Oh, the Hellas. Do you know where they're from? Don't you, Roberto?
I know Greece, but
no. Now, I'm talking about where they actually came from. That was one of the first years that they were down the Hellas Bakery. They were off of Belmont and Diversey. They had their first bakeries in Chicago, and then they moved down to Florida. And now there's two. Now they have 2 Hellas's right there on the Sponge Docks.
But
they do have really, really good food. And by the way, the soccer team you're referring to were the Apollos.
But in fact, I've been going to Hellas since 1988, and that's I think the only restaurant I've been to in Tarpon.
Bolognese, right there.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, one of the little kids, I think he was the owner's son, Gus was his name.
That's a surprising Greek name. Huh?
If I remember correctly, he became the youngest kid to ever sign a professional soccer contract in Greece.
Yep, his name was Costa Zamzis. That was his last name. It was Zamzis. First name Costa, meaning Gus. Sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
I know
But,
exactly what you're talking about. And you know what's really odd? I think I actually may remember that interview.
But I still go to that restaurant. The general manager or the manager I've known for years. He always gets me a table, and you eat well. And the bakeries, I spend more money on desserts than I do eating there. So I always bring a cooler, so I bring desserts home. But I don't know. I park my car in Tarpon Springs. I get out of the car, and I just get like this whiff of life or something.
It is. It is.
Charges me up. I
people
like
don't
going there.
understand it. They don't understand it. It is. I know exactly what you're talking about. It does. It gives you life. The smell of the ocean.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, the bay, the bayou.
Yeah, I like going to Tarpon. But hey, again, Peter, thank you very much. Harry, nice to meet you.
Sorry to keep you on so long.
No, it's all right. I appreciate. It's nice to be back behind a microphone, shall we say, again, and to share some sports talk and some other talk. And Harry, hope to see you. We got to have lunch or something.
I would like that.
Meet you guys in person, and
I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's schedule that. Let's get that done because I haven't had really any Greek food in Tarpon Springs before. So let's get it done. Let's all meet up and
we'll have to give him some good old. Peter.
Yeah.
If you want to hang with the Greek and Roberta, you have to eat octopus one time.
Oh, geez. Why does that not sound good?
It's delicious.
Grilled. I hate to say you'd think you're eating chicken.
Yeah, over the open fire. Oh my God. God. But right. Pete will be traditional. Hey, can I have a gyro? and no onions, and you can hold that tzatziki sauce off of it. That would be Pete.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Thank you again.
Take care, Roberto. Salute.
Okay, ciao.
Ciao.
Bob Alvarez right there, former WTOG.
What a great guy, buddy.
Yes. I
didn't know you had good friends anymore. I
got you as a friend. I got Leo. I got Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy that's coming on here eventually. We've got plenty of friends, and then people from the past that you're inspired by, and that's one of the guys
I do remember him. It's been a long time. He was really good at what he did, and I did watch him. I didn't want to say it out loud, but he was my go-to guy. I remember for many years.
Yes.
I would sit there and catch my sports and everything else. I really didn't. I wasn't a really big ABC guy, and I really wasn't a big Fox guy back then. I just wasn't.
Right. For me, the Channel 28, if it wasn't Channel 44, it was Channel 28. It was Ted Webb and Sports Rap. That's another.
You remember Ted Webb?
Absolutely.
What a great guy.
I wish I would have gotten a chance to have him on this show and talk
Even
to him.
Al Keck. I loved hanging out and watching Al Keck sometimes.
Absolutely. We all did. Absolutely. And we those are the sports broadcasters that we grew up on. Open phone lines. I'm going to go out to the phone lines because we missed a call here. Alex, I know you wanted to call and talk about the Rays. I'm not sure who this is, but we're going to go ahead and take our chances. When you call the Evolution, you get a call back. What's your name? Where you're calling from? You're on the Sports Web.
Oh, it's Tony calling from.
Because you owe him $500.
Oh, there you go. What's going on, buddy? What do you want to talk about tonight? What do you think about the Bucks draft, or what's on your mind?
Happy with the draft.
Okay.
Longtime Bucks fan, started in '76.
Wow. Awesome. Good stuff.
From Polk County, Florida.
Polk County, Florida. First time caller, I assume?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And,
good.
Grew up in Winter Haven.
Nice.
So followed the Bucks through the '70s, '80s, '90s. Season ticket holder in the late '70s.
Wow.
And '97 as well. Is Harry on the line?
Harry is on the line. He is on the line with us right now.
I'm 100% Greek.
Are you?
See, another Greek guy for you, Harry.
Bravo. Tikanyis, kala.
Yeah. I'm a second generation. My grandparents are from Greece, both sides. So.
Από ποιο μέρος στην Ελλάδα είσαι?
Είμαι από Mycenae.
Oh, cool. Peloponnese, seriously? We're literally family because that's where my mother is from. Yeah, I'm only half Greek, but I read, write, and speak it. Of course, all good American kids go to Greek school.
I'm sort of like I sort of consider myself a Greek cracker because I'm Floridian. So
Me too.
born and raised in Florida, but
Okay. All right. So what do you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their draft?
I love the Barton pick.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously filling a need. I'm kind of sensing he's going to play guard position. A lot of folks are saying center.
Yeah.
No, he's going to be a center, guys.
I mean, that's what you heard first, and then you hear
yeah.
Jason Light today come out on Sirius XM radio, kind of throw it out there. We may play him at center.
They may play him. Okay, good. The word "may." The guy's tabbed to be the center.
I feel like they're trying to mess around here, but he's going to be the center of this team, and definitely this line is improved. And look at the grades overall. The athlete could be best offensive lineman in this draft is with the versatility alone with him being able to play all 5 positions. So I'm excited about it. I love the pick, and people are like, well, you didn't like the offensive line. If they had an edge rusher there like a Jared Verse, I would have gone with that. And even the Bucs told you, and again, this is according to Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report, who's covered this team for a long time.
Sure.
If there's an offensive lineman on the board, it's not Jackson Powers Johnson that's the pick. It's Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois. I mean, that's how much they value it. And then you go back into the second round and you get your edge rusher. So I love what they've done here. And you've got to love what Jason Light, the last 5 years, what they've done here. Tony, you've got to be excited about this Bucs team, right?
And I like the Braswell pick. I thought that I was hoping for Nealand, but they picked Braswell.
Okay.
He went before, obviously, but
Marshawn Nealand, yes, from Western Michigan. The thing for me was, and everybody said Nealand, and I understand that, but the production wasn't there over the last couple years. So that's the thing that scares you. And you're kind of dealing with that right now with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, which, by the way, that's the other story of this, that they're not going to pick up that fifth-year option. $13 million. Right. He's got 13 sacks. Of course you're not going to pick that up at the end of it. So, and now he's got competition. So I'm excited about it. And the thing that I like about, Braswell is the fact that he could have been, in this time and day and age where an athlete can use the NIL money or can transfer, get into the portal, because Will Anderson is playing in front of him. He says, you know what? I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to play with the Nick Saban. I'm going to play with Alabama. I'm going to show myself. And when he got the opportunity to show himself, showed out a little bit.
Yeah. No. I think you're right. I think the fact that he was willing to take a backup role and stay there, it says a lot about his character. And then the Georgia pick, from what I'm hearing, he fits the Todd Bowles scheme.
Yeah, Tyke Smith.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, Smith. And then I can't remember who the fourth pick was, but
Bucky Irving, the running back out of Oregon.
Yeah,
work done clone body wise. We'll see what he does in the NFL. If he's anything like work done, which is one of my favorite Tampa Bay Buccaneers of all time.
Absolutely.
You got yourself a steal in the fourth. Well. Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of Bucs fans and people kind of wondered, when is the last time the Bucs had a two-headed monster? You go back to 97, WD-40, Warrick Dunn and Mike Alstott. Do you have that again with Irving and White? We shall see, but I think that's what the Bucs are anticipating with this Liam Cohen new offense here.
Yeah. Somebody made a good point about Bucky Irving, that he's not a power back. However, he makes that first tackler miss.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, you might be effective in short yardage situations. So
agree. Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else? You're a Rays fan, Lightning fan. You're just a Bucs fan. All right. Well,
no, I'm just a Bucs fan.
Well,
I don't follow any of the other teams. I've just been a Bucs fan for most of my life. So,
well, listen, whatever you want to do here, man, use that second call. Don't be a stranger on the evolution. Okay. This is, predominantly a Bucs. I don't call it a podcast because podcasts are recorded.
It. I've been listening lately, so I really enjoy it.
Well, you're definitely more than welcome to call back again, and definitely don't be a stranger here on the evolution. All right, my friend?
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Appreciate you. Let's go out to the phone lines here. We'll get you out of here, Harry. And in just a moment, what's your name, where you're calling from? You're on the Sports Web.
Hey, Jeremy calling for a second time.
Okay.
Now that we got Henry on.
Yeah.
Because You're a White Sox fan, correct, Henry?
Well, it's not Henry, it's Harry. He called you Henry.
That's okay. I've been called worse.
This guy
Harry, my
sucks.
apologies. My apologies.
No, you don't have to
That was
apologize,
great.
man. I
He
mean,
called
I've been
you
called
Henry.
Larry,
I'm gonna
Terry,
start calling
Gary,
you Henry.
Jerry,
Henry the Greek.
Henry the Greek. Yeah.
Henry the
Yes,
Greek.
I am also a White Sox fan. It's hard to be, but I still am.
Yeah, there's the little cat's in the background there too. What's the cat's name?
This one
Yeah.
is Inky.
Inky. All right, so Inky's on with us here. Jeremy, you got a question for Henry the Greek?
Yes, Henry. I was telling Peter earlier before he came on that I was at the Rays and White Sox game Sunday at the White Sox ballpark, and I must say, pretty amazing compared to the Trop. I think
Yeah.
it was a pretty
And that's an
sweet-
old stadium.
And that's what I like, because I was hoping to catch Wrigley while I was in Chicago, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But we did go to the White Sox field, and must say, very amazing. I like those old school stadiums, the old school ballparks and stuff. And I gotta admit, the food was amazing.
It was. You know what? It's really ironic. It's rated the #1 ballpark. Of
Well, I
any
got a
venue
question. I got a question. You
to
talk about
eat
food. Did you eat ketchup on a hot dog? Did you
No,
go
first
into-
off, what did you have? Did you have Bona beef? Did you
What's
have a
that for
Vienna
dinner?
beef?
Right.
Did you have hot dogs? What did you eat?
So when I went to the ballpark, I did get the Chicago dog. It was delicious. I
Okay.
tore it up. Like, I see the difference from the Trop to the ballpark.
Mm.
I had this
And-
one thing
And
called.
what did, hang on, what did you could tell us all about that, but this is very important. What did you have on that hot dog?
What do you have on it?
It wasn't ketchup, that's for sure.
Oh
I-
man,
see?
you know.
I told you.
Shut up!
Damn it!
All right, so what else did you have?
I also had this one thing from a small pizza place. It was like dough nuggets. It was like a dough, like full of breading, like mozzarella
Yeah,
cheese
they're-
in the middle. Go
I
ahead.
think are you sure they're not the Italian donuts?
It could be, but all I know
Yeah,
is
there's no cheese in it though. That's kind of cool, but go ahead.
Yeah.
the long story short, just something I never had before compared to Tampa here. And of course, I had the double dough pizza, which is a big difference from Tampa.
Yeah, I don't like deep dish. I like Chicago thin pizza. Is really good.
Yeah.
Well, and that's good you mentioned that because luckily the friend I stayed with, he stays up in the Illinois area, Naperville, and he got a variety of everything, in case I didn't like the double dough. But you are right, there's a difference with the Chicago. I've had New York pizza in New York about 6 years ago. So there's a total difference. And I must say it was a fun time. I'm definitely going back up there again sometime in the fall. I don't know when exactly, but
Yeah,
soon.
why not? And you know what? And you can the cuisine up there is absolutely delightful. But you know what? That's what I love about Florida. It's really catching up with the times. There's a lot of great Chicago style pizza places and New York style pizza places here in Florida, where 20, 30 years ago it just really wasn't the
You
case.
should take me to some because I never had Chicago style pizza before. But I love Hungry Howie's as will get made.
That's why I will never ever let you eat a real pizza. When you start saying Hungry Howie's is good pizza.
I just ate it tonight. Butter.
You are
butter-
such a malaka. You have no idea.
You gotta love the flavor crust on Hungry Howie's. I can't knock Peter for that one. But
Oh my god.
however, I'm glad I got you on because I know you're gonna be going soon. I just want to get your opinion and everything. I know you're a Chicago guy, so
Yeah, he's a Chicago guy. Yes.
So
Yeah, I do like the stadium there, and it's always been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, they're going to be in a very similar situation that the Tampa Bay Rays are in, where they want a new stadium, or they're given that threat, or we're gonna leave.
We're gonna leave. You call me a malaka.
but here's the thing, though. I mean, when I went to that ballpark, it was actually pretty nice. It wasn't that bad. I mean, in my opinion.
Did you go to a Friday evening? Did you go to a weekend game? Because on Friday night, there's nothing like it. You go to a baseball game, Peter, ready?
Mhm,
And
yeah.
they have an hour's worth of fireworks after.
Wow.
And they did have fireworks because, of course, we got swept. I had to watch the Rays get swept by the White Sox, but good for
The
them.
worst team in baseball.
Awful. Awful.
Hey, but you know what, though? As a Rays fan, I told all the Chicago fans that were there because there was a good amount of fans there, which surprised me. And I told them, hey, listen, y'all guys are in the win. Enjoy the win. You know what I mean? Like, I seen at the end of the day, the Rays are average baseball team at best right now because of injuries.
Were you wearing your Rays jersey?
I was going throwback, and I was wearing my Fred McGriff shirt from last year when he got to the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And then I told Peter earlier in the show, Richie Palacio from the Rays was in the outfield where I was sitting at, and he threw a clean ball to me right in my hands. So I actually had the ball with me, which I thought was very unique, because mind you, he's in the outfield, and I was a little distant from him, but he put it right in my hands, which blew my mind.
Awesome.
Even my friends from Illinois, they were like, "Oh my God, I can't even get the ball." I'm like, I can't believe it either, but I wasn't dropping that thing. It's going right in my hands. So.
Good stuff.
But
Man.
great
Good
call,
sport.
man.
Yeah, great. What else, Jeremy?
No, I was telling Peter earlier, the Rays are average baseball team at best. The Lightning are going to have to cut some dead weight.
So you don't think they can turn this around? You think they need to make some trades here? Are you panicking?
No, hold on. I think they can turn it around.
Okay.
I don't think to rebuild, more of a retool.
Okay.
How do you retool the whole bullpen?
Oh, for the Rays? Oh, no, they're screwed.
You got to get healthy. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to
their bullpen is the worst in baseball. I can't believe it.
Yeah, but you already
when I was watching that statistics.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, let me tell you something. Let me throw this out there. I was close by the bullpen area where the Rays were, throwing and all that stuff at.
Right.
Yeah.
They looked like they were not there. Like they didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to give me a ball, trying to get their attention. They all just kept looked away from me. So you know what? I did the most what Tampa Bay Rays fans would do. And I was like, that's why nobody likes you. You guys need to do better than this. I came all the way from Tampa up north to support y'all. And this is the way y'all going to treat the fan? I mean, come on.
Wow.
Were you sitting in the outfield right there in the patio where the bar is, or were you actually in the bleachers?
Right, the patio area. I was in a patio chair area near the middle light bar, I believe.
Yeah, and then what you have is you have the little plexiglass in between you and there, and then the bullpen, you can actually see the players in the bullpen. You should be able to talk to them, and normally they're pretty responsive. But sometimes when some of the Chicago fans are heckling them, they're not going to respond.
Yeah, they weren't having a good series in the first place.
No.
So I really wouldn't hold that against them. But yeah.
No, but at the end of the day, though, I mean, you're coming up north all the way from Florida because it's not like a short flight; it's a pretty long flight.
Sure.
And you're getting up there to support your team, and all I was trying to get their attention. They turn their heads like I was some complete stranger. I'm like, hey, I'm wearing a Double Race shirt. Can you at least give me some sign of, hey, thank you for coming, out of respect? I get it.
I don't blame him. He's right, Peter.
Well, no, he's absolutely right. And, that's I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry you had that type of experience. I think we've all, as a sports fan, have had those type of experiences. I remember going to my first baseball game, which is an all-star game, which we always tell that story about TJ Reeves winning it off his radio show on 820 The Team, doing a March Madness broadcast, and then eventually having George Foster as your legend to win the home run derby and winning, all expense paid tickets to that game. And you go up to Mike Piazza to get an autograph, and he looks at you and he looks the other way. So that was the kind of experience you had when you were a kid. And it's tough for fans out there, but you just, you have to put it all in perspective. It's sometimes every guy isn't like Barry Larkin. I got a chance to meet Barry Larkin in spring training, and he sat there for an hour talking baseball, signing autographs with Jose Rio. It was an amazing experience. Not every guy is Barry Larkin. Let's just put it out there. So
no, unfortunately, but at the same time with these relievers, because they've been costing us a lot of baseball games. I try to show my support, saying, "Hey, I still believe in y'all." The way they treated me, I just felt like, wow.
Well,
okay.
Hopefully next time, hopefully you have a better experience, my friend. We appreciate the call here, and hopefully the Rays can turn it around here, because this has been bad baseball lately. We appreciate the support as always, Jeremy. All right.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you again, Henry. Thank you for all your knowledge. Like
yes.
I said, you're a good man, dude.
Yeah, he is. Henry is a good man, and so is Harry.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate it. That's the comment of the night. I love it. Let's go ahead and go on to the comments there, Henry.
I gotta go.
Let's go out to Game On. Come on, people. This is the best podcast covering every team in Tampa. Hit the damn thumbs up, or do you have Trex arms? What the heck? I love it. Let me go out to one of our favorite callers of the show.
I gotta go.
All right, Harry, we'll see you later. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you, my friend. Let's go out to Alex. Alex, welcome to the Evolution after the Tampa Bay Rays fall 7-1 to Milwaukee.
I'm actually gonna
yeah.
This is actually the first chat or the first call. I'm actually not gonna talk about the Rays tonight.
No, you're not gonna talk about the Rays. You're so frustrated about the
Here's what I want to
Rays.
say about the Rays. They're so bad right now. I never saw it coming.
Yeah.
I just didn't, but
Well, it's early
just wanna-
still. It's still early. They're
It's
14
still
and
early.
18. They're having injury troubles. I get it. Injuries are not, an excuse. This team right now, when it comes to defense and details and stuff like that and showboating, it's disappointing. It really is, especially Jose
Honestly,
Siri.
Honestly, a lot of people are mad at Siri, but I don't think he really did anything wrong. I'm sorry. I disagree with that comment. Everybody's doing bat flips and people are throwing bats and that's today's generation of baseball. I'm sorry. I disagree with that. Jose did nothing wrong. That pitcher stared him down because he wanted a shutout game. Jose Siri knocked that out of the park. That was a bomb. I mean, that hit was a bomb on Siri. Haven't seen much of Siri. I disagree with that comment, Peter. I don't think Jose really did anything wrong in that moment. Pitcher stared him down. He didn't like it. He threw a two-seam fastball, meatball down the middle of the plate. Jose Siri took it yard. And when I saw him stare him down, I knew there was something coming. So anyway, I'm putting that aside for a second. The Rays are awful. I actually want to talk about the Lightning and give my final thoughts on the season, and then I'll give you my thoughts if you have a little bit of time about the Bucks draft.
We always got time for Alex Nunster here on the Evolution. Come on now, doing great things too. By the way, with that, with your new page there, new group on. Yeah, we got to get on there and talk some Rays baseball maybe after the games. And yeah, we're going to do that. And I want to go out to a Rays game with you. I definitely want to do that.
Absolutely, man. I'd be honored to have you with me anytime, man. Let me know. But dude, talking about the Rays pitches for a second, I'm doing some great things. It's such a blessing. Just something I've always had on my heart. And I took a little extra step this year. I give out jerseys, shirts. I gave out my first jersey actually today.
Nice.
I met him. Very great guy. I gave him one of the new jerseys, a custom one. Very nice guy. But it's just something on my heart, man. It's a blessing. And I'm just like you, Peter. You do what you do. I do what I do. We all do what we do for one reason. It's just to simply make a difference in the community. Something great on my heart. It's just something people just like you, people just like Harry the Greek, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, all these great guys.
Or Henry, as Jeremy would call him, which I'm going to start calling him Henry the Greek. Appreciate the time there, Henry. Yes, I love him too.
I really love Harry, another great guy. Just a lot of great guys out there that's really influenced me to give back. And that's why I do it. But anyway, enough about the page. I want to talk about the Lightning real quick. Very disappointing way to end the season. Everybody's going to sit here and blame the refs. First of all, let me give out my final thoughts of that series. The Lightning did not lose the series because of the refs. The Lightning lost the series because the Panthers went home and they did their homework. They absolutely killed us in all phases of hockey for the first 3 games. Sergei came back. Sergei worked his ass off, getting his injury. Hats off to Sergei. Sergei was a fire, came out. Did everything possible. I think he even scored 1 goal or was a part of an assist of that 1 goal.
Yeah.
Sergei was the only light. If there was no Sergei, I mark my words, we would have not lost. We would have lost that 4th game and we would have been swept. So hats off to Sergei. Hats off to the Bolts. Going into the off season, God, I hope they sign Stamkos because I can't imagine our captain being. I was thinking about that as the season ended, and I watched the way he walked off the ice. And I was like, Man, I cannot imagine Sergey being in another, or not Sergey, but Stamkos being in another uniform.
I can't either. It's like a Mike Evans situation, and
it's
I
like a
think
Mike Evans.
this whole situation is kind of playing out like Mike Evans, right? I mean, the negotiations were called off last year, much like Mike Evans. Everybody expected Mike Evans to move on. Jason Light and the Bucks were able to get it done, and I think the Lightning organization will be able to get this done because they know how important Stamkos is, not only to this team as a captain, but also to the community. And look, he's still playing at a high level. So if they need to get something done, they want to get something done, they should definitely get it done. I just kind of wonder where you go from here, because you had all this veteran talent. I get it. The blue line was banged up, and they have been, the talent on this team has been picked apart over the last couple of years. And I mean, it's been tough.
Well, see, Peter, no offense, but, Victor Hedman hasn't been playing as Victor Hedman that we know. He's just not himself this year. He's been absolutely awful on the defensive end of things. Kucherov, record-breaking season. Hats off to Kuch. But Kuch did absolutely nothing. In the
Zero.
It
was disappointing. He was a man on the milk carton. Yeah.
In fact, he had 2 turnovers that led into one game decision to go in game 2. So Kucherov really is not the Kucherov that I thought was going to be in the playoffs. By the way, again, hats off to what he did in the regular season, record-breaking for the Bolts that I know of. Definitely on a personal level for him. But if you're going to the offseason, who do I think stays and who do I think goes? I think the captain is going to do what Mike Evans could have went out and got more. Let's be real. I mean, if he really would have hit the market, I personally feel Mike Evans could have easily, in my opinion, gotten more on his deal. But I think, once again, in my opinion, he took a discount, and I think Stamkos will do the same thing. And in fact, he put out a statement pretty much with his agent stating today, and it was posted in Thunderbolts in a page that I follow.
Yeah.
That he pretty much acknowledges that other players have taken discounts to stay with the Bolts, and he acknowledges the fact that with those discounts has become winning hockey, back-to-back Stanley Cups over the last 5 years.
Sure.
And I think Stamkos acknowledges that, and I think he's going to come to kind of like the Bucks with Jason Light and Mike Evans and all these deals that have came for fruition with the Bucks. I think that the captain is going to take a discount. In Lightning terms, I'm going to say, you got to remember, hockey is a lot different than baseball. I'm going to say $7 to $8 million a season. The captain's going to go for. Remember, we're talking hockey, so people are like, that's very low if you're a football fan, but that's what hockey pays.
Yep.
I think Stamkos will take a $7-8 million a year deal. Who do I think goes? I think I heard you in the live say, who do I think goes?
Yeah.
I think Dumba needs to go. He was a short-term trade line pickup, who I initially liked. And I didn't.
Do you consider trading one of the big guys? Because I've heard this. I've talked to some friends about this. Do you trade a Braden Point? Do you even trade a Nikita Kucherov? Because he's an MVP. He disappeared during the playoffs because he can get you the most value. Yeah, at that point you're kind of blowing it up, and I'm not sure if I want to do that just yet. But he gets you the most value. Well, are you considering? In your opinion, do you think the Lightning should consider trading one of these core guys, or do you stay the course here and just add some pieces around it?
Peter, here's who I think the Lightning are going to use on the off season as a trading bait or a trading piece.
Okay.
I think Victor Hedman will go, and it pains me to kill it because I like this guy. I think Sergey will also be used on the deadline. I think they keep Kucherov. You don't get rid of Kucherov after a record-breaking season like that, regardless of the postseason stats. And they were ugly. They were very ugly. But because he just didn't do anything. If you don't do anything, that's considered ugly to me. But you're not going to get rid of Kucherov. You're not going to get rid of the captain. But I think Victor Hedman will be a guy, because Victor Hedman's older and he's not who he used to be, in my opinion. I don't think he played up to what he's been before. So I think Victor Hedman will go on the trade deadline or trade market. And then I think Sergey, and I love Sergey. I mean, hats off to what he did getting healed up. And you got to think about it. He broke his leg and was pretty much broke his leg and was on the ice 2 months later to make the playoffs. What he did was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, hats off to that. That's dedication, man.
Yeah.
But I think Sergey goes on the trade block too. And I think that's going to be used just to, number one, make some cap space, or I'll use it as cap space. I don't know how they use it in terms of hockey, but they're going to build some cap space to re-sign the captain. And cap space is really tight for the Lightning. So every little piece, big piece you get off that roster is going to be huge. I also want them to re-sign Anthony Duclair, the best trade line deadline pickup next to Brandon Hagel that the Lightning have ever made. Wow. I loved Anthony Duclair. What he did when he came over to the Bolts was absolutely phenomenal. Never saw that coming. A lot of Lightning fans thought that was a terrible trade, but that was probably one of the best trades I personally have seen in the Lightning play. So we'll see how it plays out, Peter. I think the Bolts are going to make the captain deal happen, and I think that's going to be done really soon than people think. I heard that the front office is coming to some sort of an agreement with him right now in discussions of a new contract. So we'll see if that gets done. I think that's the very first thing that's going to get done. The Lightning aren't like the Bucks. I feel that the Lightning are going to rush the captain's deal because the captain knows he can hit the market, and I don't think the Lightning want the captain to hit the market. But Peter, great season for the Bolts. Let's talk about this Bucks draft real quick. I'm just going to give my grade real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here because it's kind of late.
Okay.
I think the Bucks did an absolute A+. And Harry, for the first time, I will actually 100% agree with this comment.
Wow.
They got who they needed. They got the main solution to their problems. We all knew after getting all of these guys re-signed, you got your core. You got your guys like Mike Evans. In my opinion, I like Baker coming back. I think that was another great pickup. People wasn't really happy about his contract and how much. I think how they did Baker's deal was perfect. Mm-hmm. I think it was $52 million guaranteed. Rest is earned. That is a genius idea. Make him earn that extra money. So when they did that really hats off to Jason for that one. You got your core back. You got your wide receivers back. You got guys like Levante David coming back. I would like to see, I don't know if it's been announced, but I would like to see Tristan Wirfs locked in. I think that's the only guy.
Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. And you let them work over there. They'll definitely got some work to do. And of course, we talked about it when Jason Light gets those deals done. Here comes the boat parade. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to it, Peter. And I think looking at the draft and what we did in the draft, I didn't go too deep into the second round and third round, but our first round pick solved, in my opinion, a lot of our issues, because putting him at center, you can put guys like Stinny and stuff, who's very versatile.
Stinny's not going to be a part of this team. It's going to be Hansy, and then you got Ben Brederson, and you also got Opeta from Philadelphia. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's going to be some guys that can slide over that are very versatile for the lineup or for the offensive line. And I think that's huge. I think going out and get our first round draft pick was the best pick the Bucks did. Hats off to Jason. He killed it this offseason, and you couldn't have asked for a better draft pick. And he's getting an A+ in my book on everything he's done this offseason. Bucks fans, you got to remember, I think it was 2 months ago, we didn't even know if we would get Mike Evans back. I think we were talking about Mike Evans being traded to this team and this team and this team. 2 months later, you got pretty much every guy signed up on the offensive core and, for the most part, defense. I was really happy to see Devin White go. Wasn't a fan of Devin White, what he did last year, regardless of his attitude.
Yeah.
Just didn't think he did enough for the Bucks.
Right.
Getting a Winfield Jr. back was huge. I thought that was a big W. I think they franchise tagged him. And overall, Jason did an absolute phenomenal job, Peter. And what he did in the draft was, in my opinion, absolutely amazing.
All right. Good stuff, Alex. As always, use that second call if you want to. You killed it, my friend.
Woo!
Appreciate you as always. Let's go out to the phone lines, or phone lines are open. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's get out to some of these great comments. Again, Peter Culp will be a great addition to the tight end room. This guy can run, block, and catch, ball like a receiver. He was lost and behind three really good receivers. You're exactly right. And what did he run? Like a 4.47, something along those lines. So maybe he's not, great at blocking. He can block, but he's also fast. So maybe that's somebody you find here that you can, pair with your other tight ends on this team. And let's go out to Keith here. I was at the Rays White Sox game Saturday, and I didn't get the campfire s'mores. I didn't get the campfire s'mores milkshake. They were sold out. That sounds great in itself. So Keith, I'm sorry you weren't able to get the milkshake, because it would probably been the best part of the trip, because that series in itself was just so good stuff there. Thanks a lot, Keith, for as always chiming in here on the evolution, as you can always do. I disagree with Leo a little bit when he said he's undersized, but he's almost a clone to Barrett, but a little bit taller. Yeah, agree with you on that. A lot of people think that he is, a little bit undersized, but you're exactly right. If you look at the measurables, he's kind of like Shaq Barrett. And in the same vein, if you want to put comparisons out there, you don't know what Barrett is going to give you, because he's behind Von Miller, right, for so many years. Well, you're not sure about what Braswell can give you, because he's behind Will Anderson there. And then finally he gets the opportunity. So very good comment. Like it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Game On. Your check is in the mail, by the way, with all your commentary tonight for this show, the evolution of sports talk television. Bring in Bauer. That's certainly not a possibility. It should be. I don't know why there's not a major league team that has brought him in at this point. He's going to come to you at the Major League Baseball minimum. He wasn't convicted of anything. I get it. It may be some PR, but he's a very talented pitcher, very controversial pitcher, but can get it done, especially if you put him in that bullpen. Highly talented. And again, it's going to be cheap. That's what the Rays love. They love cheap guys. They love the contracts there that you're not going to have to pay, $4 or $5 or $6 or $9 or $10 or $11 million for pitching. And that's what you got to pay for sometimes. And he's going to come to you at the vet minimum, in my opinion. I think he is. The Falcons should know, even before signing Cousins, that they had a chance to draft Penix at 8. It's ridiculous that they pay $100 million to a guy coming from an injury, or for just 2 years. I completely agree with you. And look, if you're going to spend all that money on Kirk Cousins, put something around him. I get it. You got all the talent on the outside, but is the offensive line good enough? We're going to see. Is the defense good enough? Because they have passed on defensive players the last couple of drafts. That's not going to get it done. It comes back to haunt you. It's the reason why the Falcons are 7-10. It's most likely the reason why the Falcons are never going to win the NFC South, because they don't have the defense to stop anybody. And they've had the opportunities year after year after year to improve that defense. And what have they done? They've gone skill positions. I'm telling you right now, skill positions don't win in the National Football League. You build a team within the lines, with an offensive line, with a defensive line. You had an opportunity to go after somebody like a Turner or a Latu and get them, even a Byron Murphy as a defensive tackle. Because look, you got Raheem Morris, and he needs a 3 technique. You draft Murphy from Texas, that solidifies that defensive line. And instead, you go for, he's probably a talented quarterback, definitely one of the most talented quarterbacks there, and you go in the later rounds. So you better hope these later round picks work out for you, because they did address the defensive tackle position. But I think he could have done that in the first round. Just my opinion. We'll see how it works, because everybody's picking the Atlanta Falcons, right? They're going to win the NFC South because they got Kirk Cousins. They got all these skill positions. But make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, the NFC South, the South runs through Tampa Bay. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Tulio says, I'm watching AEW and just realized that the Falcons drafted Prince Nana as their future quarterback. Very funny.
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching the same thing as we speak. Game On says, if the Bears do not make the playoffs this year or next year, CW is a bust. Isn't it crazy to think that already. But those are the high expectations as a quarterback these days. That's the reason why, CJ Stroud, everybody's looking to duplicate CJ Stroud's year with the Houston Texans. Can Caleb Williams do that? Well, the Bears, as an organization, have put enough weapons around him, so he should do that, right? But the reality of the situation is not every rookie quarterback is able to transition over to a team and be successful right away. There is a learning curve. There is a learning process. So the pressure will be on not only that offense, but Mr. Williams himself. And you know that Chicago Bear fans will be chopping at the bit, wanting this team to make the playoffs, wanting this team to win the NFC North. And if they don't do that, you're going to hear, fire the coach, fire this guy. And that is the problem. You draft Caleb Williams, you better keep him with the consistent coaching, with the consistent system, because when you don't do that, you hinder the development of a young quarterback. We say it time in and time out. Look at Baker Mayfield being the example. How many years, how many offensive coordinators, how many coaches? That's why I'm saying, if you wanted to move on and you don't have the success that you're looking for right away with Eberflus, and you fire him, that's another coach. That's another system. That ruins the development of your rookie quarterback. If you were going to push reset and you're Ryan Poles, you go with Jim Harbaugh, you go with somebody else. That's if you don't believe in Eberflus. So you better give this coaching staff as much time as they need to develop this kid. Because then it's basically Groundhog Day. Rinse and repeat. Let's fire the coach. Let's change the system. Let's think we're going to be a winning football team. Don't work out like that. It doesn't work out like that. It doesn't. That's when you become a quarterback graveyard. That's when you become the Carolina Panthers. Firing a coach after the first year. Changing the offensive system. You better give a coach at least 3, 4, 5 years, especially with a young player, to develop it. And if you don't, then it's that's what it is. Let's go out to Maria Bonita Diaz. Ola to you. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Oh, yeah.
Hola, Peter H. Blake. Thank you very much again for the comments. Como está muy bien? Me llamo Pedro. Tu eres bien bonita. That's all I know. 6 words of Spanish, 2 years of high school, and that's all I know. 6 words. I know another thing. What is it? No tengo dinero. That's all I know. And that means I have no money. But that's not going to help me out. But 6 words of Spanish, 2 years of high school. True story. Thank you, Maria, for tuning in as always. Christopher Cole, I believe that the Cubs got better Japanese pitcher than the Dodgers, especially for the price. And Christopher again, plus Umanga is a left-hander. All right. So we're talking baseball on this show. My question to you, Bucs fans, what do you think about the draft? What's your grade for them? Is it an A, B, C? Is it a D or an F? I don't think you can say a D or F, so I'm going to go with A, B, or C. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Can the Rays turn this around after playing some bad baseball lately? They lose to the Milwaukee Brewers 2 out of 3. 7-1, not even close. Eflin today, just not good. The pitching staff not getting the run support. Jose Siri being suspended for 3 games, appealing. Now it's 2. What did you think of that situation? I mean, so many distractions, but it's early in the season. So I'm not ready to, call it a day. But there is becoming an apparent trend with this team where their bullpen is letting them down. You're not getting the starting pitching. You're just not getting anything right now. Who's contributing to this team right now? Who's the bright spot? Aesop Paredes? Yeah, okay. What else? Who else on this team? Randy hasn't showed up this year. Yandy Diaz hasn't showed up this year, and especially Jose Siri. And I get it. He's showboating. That's his thing. But, it's a part of the unwritten rule of baseball. We talked to Roberto Hernandez, the former closer for the Tampa Bay Rays. He told you how pitchers view that. That's showboating. So act like you've been there before. I get it. That's his personality, and that's what you're going to get. And, of course, the same player was benched the other night against the White Sox because he wasn't hustling. This team needs to get some fire under them. You know, maybe you need to send some players down. Maybe you need to trade some players. I don't know what needs to change. There's injuries here. We talked about it with their pitching from last year, but you got to play. Somebody's got to step up. You got players on this team. You're too talented to be 14 and 18. You're too talented. And then, of course, the Lightning, what should they do? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Want to go out to this here. The pressers yesterday were great. Casey Rogers talking about Vita Vea, saying Vita has to play better. This is according to Pewter Report as they were covering it. When you're talking about this and just looking at plays he's leaving out there, Vita is a really strong man. When he uses his hands and proper technique, he's hard to stop. That's the thing. He plays hard and does everything we ask of him. Just when you go back and look at some plays, he should have made that play. You know the guy should not be blocking you. That's kind of where we need him to take the next step because he does everything else we ask him for. Also, the big-time rumor is that he has lost a lot of weight. So this could be a good thing. You know, increase the mobility. I get it. He's playing at a bigger size, and he's been able to do that. But he loses some weight. Maybe he's more effective. And, of course, JTS, his fifth-year option not being picked up. Is that a surprise to you? Not a surprise to me. You're not paying a guy $13.2 million a year to have 13 sacks for 3 years. You're not doing that. So it's a big year for him. And even the defensive coach has talked about how big it is for him. The pressure is on. If you want to earn that second contract, you better show out this year. And that means finishing plays. That means becoming better technique when it comes to stopping the run. That means being more consistent. The tools are all there. Everything is there for him to be successful. Let's see if he can put it together this year. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. 25 years old. 32nd overall pick in 2021. Played 49% of the defensive snaps as a rookie, 75% in 2022, and 51% last season, according to Greg Auman of the Fox Sports, not the Athletic. I don't know what they're saying, Athletic, Fox Sports. And he's only total 13 sacks in 3 seasons. Total 114 tackles, 31 quarterback hits, and 6 passes defensed in his career. So it's got to change. It's got to turn around somewhere. It's got to. And that will be, one of the things that we're watching. That's one of the main stories. Can they get enough out of this pass rush? You move on from Shaq Barrett. Of course, you draft again, Chris Braswell from Alabama. Can he come in? Can you give them the competition? Yaya Diaby. We saw him. We saw flashes of brilliance. He's in his sophomore year. Can he take the next step? Kalijah Cansey, another building block. Can he stay healthy? Can he take the next step? A lot of exciting things going on, of course, with this Buccaneer team, especially on that defensive side of the ball. It really is. So we'll see how that all plays out, and we'll see where Graham Barton plays, because what you heard was that he was going to be the center, and now he may play some guard, but the offensive line's got to be improved. I mean, you got depth pieces there. You draft Klein in the later rounds. You've heard nothing but great things about him. Great pass protector, according to Pro Football Focus. Again, can that transition? What's the plan? Your 2 starting tackles are going to be Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke. Who's your center? And who are your guards? And is that going to be fluid? Is there fluidity? Leo Ward, as he said today or tonight. With Cody Mock there at the right guard spot. Could they move him to the left? They have so much versatility, and because Barton can play all 5 positions, you're not sure. But you can't go wrong, really, with an offensive lineman, can you? You really can't. I don't think you can. Let's see here. Christopher Cole says, I'm not talking about Otani. I know who you're talking about. I definitely know who you're talking about. So you got to be excited about what the Bucs are going to do, not only on the defensive side of the ball, but possibly the offensive side of the ball. Let me go out to Jason Light here again, talking on NFL Sirius Radio, according to Joe Bucs fan. This is what he had to say today, stirring it up a little bit. Love Jason Light when he stirs it up. We think he's going to be a hell of an interior offensive lineman. So we're trying to try him at center, and if it doesn't work, I think he's going to be a great guard too. But the focus right now would be at center. So there you go. Center for Barton. But he also says possibly guard. So we'll see if it works. Blackie says Barron? I think Barton. I think you're saying Barton. Okay, Barton. Christopher Cole says B. All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Blackie, for commenting. Here's another comment. Barton improves the offensive line wherever he plays. Exactly. You got to protect your investment when it comes to Baker Mayfield. You can't afford to see all that pressure in his face. You can't afford to see that. That offense is going to be that much better with the line's development going into 2024. I'm going to wrap it up right here, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Didn't get as many shares as I wanted to because Facebook, kind of limited us. Not kind of. Limited until Friday. But we'll be back on Monday and Wednesday night. And anytime we got breaking news here on The Evolution, definitely tune in. Thanks a lot to all our guests tonight. Mr. Leo Haggerty, the legend himself, former Coach Scott, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. Of course, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of this show, former WTOG 44 sports broadcaster, Mr. Bob Alvarez. Thanks a lot to him for joining us. Like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. Give to Facebook stars. YouTube super chats are open. And do three things. You know them. You love them. You got to have them. Bucs fans, Rays fans, Lightning fans. Hang in there. Keep your head up. Everything will be all right. I'm here with you. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay Sports Fan, it's your time. We'll see you next time on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Have a good night. Going 6 for 6, and people are like, you're tipping the picks. I'm like, nope. I'm behind like you. I had it down. Like I told you, I do a sales job on Wednesday. You know what I do to avoid Gertrude and Esther and Winifred, who are about 195 years old. And nothing against old people. I love old people, right? But these old people, they're nasty, man. They are venomous. Bunch of venomous snakes. Like they will take your head off. Like right when you first get on the phone, it's 9:15. Like you're feeling good at 9 o'clock. Of course, Wednesdays I produce the JP Peterson show. So you get on at 12:30. Thank God. Because you get on during a regular morning, you're feeling good at 9 o'clock. You had your coffee. You had your donuts. Maybe your oatmeal. Maybe your bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. You're feeling good about the day. 9:15 comes. Winifred is on the phone. Esther is on the phone. Gertrude is on the phone. And they're ready to take your head off. And you know what you do to take your mind off of it? You sit there and take notes. And that's what I was doing all day long. Because, baby, it's draft day. It's draft week. Sit down there and take notes. Do your mock draft in your head. Write down this. Write down that. Stats weren't great, but you know what? I didn't get upset. I wasn't looking to ask, Gertrude, who was 185 years old, what was World War I like? What was it like when you had to use your feet as brakes for your car? I didn't ask her that. I didn't. I probably would have been fired. I would have been. I'm just saying. So I kept my mind off of all that nonsense.